against the Rangers Journal night.
Evening everybody and welcome back to the Rangers Journal podcast. I'm your host Scott Mackay and I'm a very happy camper this evening. We managed to smash the 1,000 subscribers, so thank you to everybody. If you're newly just tuning into the channel, please hit the like button, hit the subscribe so we can get well on the way to 2,000. I'm welcomed tonight by one of my hosts, Tomo. Tomo, how you doing, mate?
Yeah, very good. Thanks, Scott. Lovely sunny day today, and as you say, getting through that 1,000 barrier is it's a great achievement considering it just started in February. So going the right way. Yeah, good stuff.
Aye, definitely, mate. Definitely. We're trying all sorts of different content out here. Even me and my pal sitting with a beer on the couch yesterday. Seen how that went in the hit and miss series. Guys, we're going to do a wee bit of a Q&A night, so if you get any comments, any questions, fire in the comments, we'll get them up. And between me and Tomo, we'll answer them. Quickly, I don't really want to get into too much, Tomo. I've not prepared any slides tonight. It was a dead rubber game. A lot of changes in the lineup. Leon King started again. Ross McCausland obviously kept his place. There's a lot more. Robbie Fraser got a start at left back. What was your thoughts on the lineup, kind of altogether?
Yeah, I think again, like it's been with quite a few weeks. I think a lot of it picks itself because of injuries, people unavailable due to suspensions. But it was good to see Fraser getting a start. I mean, he's out of contract in the summer, so I don't know what's happening there. Whether he's on his way. I mean, he's not exactly a youngster. He's 21 now, so whether Clement's thinking of having a little look at him and maybe keep him on, or whether it's just you've been here for a good number of years through the academy and that. There's a couple of appearances for you. Thanks very much. But yeah, I mean, McCausland, he played well on Tuesday night against Dundee. He scored a really, really good goal on Saturday. It's what, well, I know yourself has been wanting to see from him. Attacking the defenders and getting those shots away. So, I think he's probably pushed himself into the starting lineup for Saturday, which if he's keeping that sort of form, then no issues. But I think at the back, Leon King, I know he's not played much, but I don't know. I just don't think he's up to it with us, to be honest. I don't want to slate the lad, but he came in at a rough time last season under Gio when there was a lot of injuries, and he was obviously at times playing with James Sands at the back, but he just doesn't seem to have made that progression. And I'd be very worried if we're starting with him on Saturday. I've got to be honest, but I think the rest of the team sort of picked itself. And I was surprised Yilmaz maybe didn't get a start, but if he got injured, then we would be screwed for Saturday. So maybe that was in the thinking.
Aye, quite possibly. See, touching on Robbie Fraser, would say for what you've seen for midweek, obviously I know you were working for a weekend for a game, but have you maybe seen enough to think that he could potentially challenge for a left back jersey next season? Would you be happy making him second choice left back? We've just had a comment in here for Hugo Bert, says we need to make the academy work in order to save money and help homegrown quota. It's a really good point. I don't think Robbie Fraser, for watching the game on Saturday, didn't he sell any harm at all. He was strong to tackle, he was good going forward, he maintained possession really well. Any thoughts on it?
Yeah, I mean, when he came on Tuesday against Dundee, he looked solid enough, and getting forward as well. And again, Saturday, from the bits I saw of him, he looked, again, didn't do himself any disgrace whatsoever. I just think that if his contract's run down to this point, he's not really played that much over his time at Rangers. Is he in Clement's plan? But again, it's one of these things. And as Hugo has said, we need to be utilising the youth and giving them a chance. It's hard at a club like Rangers because you want them to do well, but if they're not up to that standard, we it's essentially, if we don't win the league, Celtic are going to win it, and we haven't got the luxury of chucking young players in to see how they'll do. And we need them to be coming in and hitting the ground running. That's the same with any signing, but with the youth, it's at other clubs. You see the likes of Kilmarnock, Motherwell, Aberdeen, giving the youth the pressure isn't on them as much, so they can maybe get away with the youth players having games where they're maybe a 4, 5 out of 10. But at Rangers, we need to be on it, and if they're not up to that standard, then it's a struggle for them. But if we can keep Robbie Fraser, it saves us paying a few million for basically a backup left back that can be used somewhere else in the team. I'd be all for it.
I'm full agreement with you, Tom. I think it's something that needs to be implemented at the club sooner rather than later. Is youth plays with no fear, and I think this is quite important. Looking back to Curry's point, funnily enough, he's disagreed with me. It's not like him. He says that the game wasn't a dead rubber, or at least it shouldn't have been. He says players are playing for their future and they're placing the cup. I think I can't really argue with that statement. I think just where we're at just now, though, I think the players are potentially already been told that who's staying and who's going. So I think with the exclusion of like say your Tom Lawrence not starting, I think that's a signal. Borna has not been in the squad. Kamar Roof, obviously, there was an Instagram post of him being away on a flight somewhere. So you're like, I think looking at the game in Saturday, when I say dead rubber, I mean like it was more of a training exercise as a viewer. I'm not saying it was like that for the players, but it wasn't an easy watch in it. It's like it's to be brutally honest with you. It just did that kind of end of season atmosphere about it. You know what I mean?
I agree with what Curry's saying, and I agree with what you're saying there. It's as a fan, I think we're just all deflated, weren't we? With the way the end of the season panned out, and yes, we've got a cup final to come. And as fans, we'd be like, each and every player in that squad should be doing everything they can to be catching the manager's eye. But the reality is, these players, not just at Rangers but at other clubs, these players will be having one eye on the future. A lot of them will know that they're leaving in the summer. Whether they've actually been told that by the management, they'll know. They'll know that they've got another club lined up, or they're not in the manager's plans. And I say it's a job to them. So on Saturday, it was a dead rubber in terms of we're not moving anywhere in the league. We're not going up. We're not going down. It was just, we've got to fulfill our games. But I think the game as a whole just summed up our entire season. At times, I say from the highlights, at times some of our football was excellent, and then we give away shoddy, preventable goals. It just summed up our season in 90 minutes, really.
Aye, definitely. One guy, it was back to his normal sale after his Dundee double on Wednesday night was Scott Wright. He started on the left-hand side. He didn't do anything to signify to me that it's not a case of him wanting to be here. I believe he wants to be here. I just don't believe he's got the actual ability to be here and be a starter and be what he wants. Obviously, at the beginning of the season, Michael Beale's saying stuff of like quotes along the lines of like Scott wants to be a starter, but we can't give him that here. It's Rangers, blah blah blah. So for what Scott Wright's one, what he's going to get, I think it's two different things. I think he's probably going to get moved on this summer. Do you agree?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it looked like he was away last summer, wasn't he, to some Turkish team, and for whatever reason, I think the difficulty will probably be is the wages that he's probably on, and right. Getting someone. But I seen something on social media sort of during the week just about Scott Wright that was basically saying the cycle of Scott Wright, and it's like comes on as a sub, does something, starts, disappears for weeks, comes on, And but I think that just sums up his time at Rangers. I mean, I think at the time of his signing, it was a bit of a no-brainer. You know, he was a still youngish lad. He'd had his injury problems at Aberdeen, but he looked like he had a bit of potential. So bringing him in and seeing how he just hasn't progressed as the management and coaches probably thought that he was going to, and he's as I say, he just hasn't really made the grade. And we really need to be signing players now that are going to come into that first 11, not project players, not squad players, but someone who's going to come in first 11 and make a difference week in, week out. Because since we won the league under Gerrard, there have been too many players that have just been happy to stick on a Rangers jersey, pick up the wages, and take the plaudits that go with that. So we need players that are hungry and wanting to succeed come the summer.
Aye, definitely. Speaking of that, I interviewed Scott Wilson from the Newcastle Echo. I think it was last Friday, and he told me that it was to speak about Paddy McNair, and he told me that Rangers have put the feelers out to Paddy McNair's agent, and I think there's an interest to both sides in doing a deal. Which are kind of thoughts on him. Obviously, the interview pod, which we're kind of calling it, I suppose, will probably be released tomorrow. Where you'll get to watch the interview. Then it's followed up by Ross, Billy, and Dean, who do some detailed analysis on it for us. So we'll release that tomorrow night at 7 o'clock. But what would your thoughts be overall on McNair coming in?
Well, he's an experienced guy, isn't he? And I think he's sort of round about the right age that we can, he's not over the hill or anything. He's got a lot 29. Of experience. Yeah, 29. He's got a lot of experience in the Championship. Obviously international level as well for Northern Ireland. And it's not one of these as he's Northern Irish, he's a Rangers man, get him in. I think he is a good player, and I think he will enhance our team. So if he's available on a free transfer and it's something that can happen, then I think we should look at it. We need to. In the summer, we're going to be losing the likes of Ryan Jack, Kemar Roof, probably Lundstrom. We do need to have a core of the team and squad that are British and know what it's like to play British football. Because especially Scottish football, you can get players from abroad and whatnot, but the pace and the ferocity of tackles in Scottish football catches a lot of them out. So we do need that core of players who know what it's like to play British football, because it's the same game. It's a different game, if you know what I mean. So I don't think we can. I've seen lots of things about certain players from foreign leagues that we're going to sign, which if we're going to do the job, brilliant. But I think we do need to sort of retain that core that know what it's like to play in Britain and play in these sort of leagues.
I think it's important as well for the leadership aspect. We've touched up on it for another pod that we lost Davies, Sarfield and McGregor for this season, who were 3 Rangers men who would have, I don't care what anybody says, they would have had a big influence in that dressing room, and that influence is now gone, and there's only really Jack Butland that come in to kind of replace in that leadership group. So then you're looking at Tav Goldson, Lundstrom and Butland, and I don't really think whether you think they're good enough for that or not. It's a different kind of question, but I think McNair would come in and help to bridge that gap a wee bit, if that makes any sense. Like, the bit I got for the interview, he's because he played it as a 6 for Northern Ireland at times as well. He's very good with a ball at his feet. Now, apart from when we're getting pressed, he's playing against a low block half the time. John Souttar likes to step out. We've seen how effective that can be. So if he can step out and whip a ball across the field or pick a pass, or I think it's kind of I think it is one that is up for debate. I think it splits the fan base purely because of the aspect of him being a Rangers fan. He's got a good championship pedigree, but he's got nothing else in that. He's got international caps. He's not a spectacular player. But I think he could come in and do a job, to be honest. But it would depend on wages and all the rest of it. So we'll kind of touch upon the game really quickly in terms of what do you think the mood's like round about the team after the result on Saturday? It felt as if like, they're up points for a winning position yet again. We've finished 8 points behind, which is no different than last season. I think it's a kind of bittersweet ending to the league campaign, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it's just one of those, again, it's one of those end of season games where, players maybe aren't putting the full 100% in. I mean, I'm not saying any of them are down in tools or anything like that. It's just the psychology, the mentality when, you've got a cup final coming up the week after. You maybe don't want to get injured or whatnot. But I think, as I say, I think the mood's, it's been deflated for quite a while, and maybe even as far back since the Motherwell game. It's just, I don't know, it just hasn't seemed right. But as I say, the players are the ones who have to pick up the fans. They have to do something on the pitch, and then the fans will get behind them. And at the moment, we're just not seeing enough of that. We're not seeing enough of players being brave, trying to do something, take opposition players on. I say the goals we scored on Saturday, I thought were really good. Thought obviously the McCausland one we touched on. Silva, I thought he showed great sort of speed, presence and mind to get in front of the defender and stick it away, in the same with Cantwell. But we need these players to be doing those in games that matter. And quite simply, they haven't done it enough, and that's why we've finished second. And that's, I don't know if it's a mentality thing, but that's what needs to change next season. We need players that are going to be stepping up when it's a tight 1-1 and get the winning goal, not the third or fourth goal in a 3-4, 5-1 hammering. We need the players to just, as I say, step up when it matters and turn those points around. I mean, you mentioned it, I think, the other week on one of the pods about that Adam Ida, who signed for Celtic. Now, I don't think he's that good a player, I've got to be honest, but the points he won them has more than likely contributed to them winning the league. And that is what we need as well. And so what the mentality is like, I hope they're up for Saturday. I really do, and they all want to put on a show. But from the evidence we've seen back end of the season, I'm not 100% convinced.
And speaking of being unconvinced, Cyril Dessers gave you another unconvincing performance against Hearts at the weekend. Went down, potentially should have had a penalty. Then Ross McCausland was pressing high up the park, won the ball back, played a decent enough pass across, which a striker of $4.5 million worth of quality should be finishing in my eyes. Misses. And then Hearts end up playing a long ball up the park. Shankland's runs through and dinks Butland. One chance, one goal. Hearts had 4 shots on target and scored 3 of them at the weekend. Rangers had 10 and scored 3. It kind of tells you everything you need to know. There's a big gap at the back it needs filled, and there's a big gap up front that needs filled. Cyril Dessers, where do you start, Tomo?
We spoke about him a lot, and as I say, I'm a fan of him in that he's basically had to lead the line near enough all season because other strikers have been injured. And then when we did bring in Silva to try and take that weight off of him, wingers got injured, so Silva had to play out wide. So he has, his goal return and what have you, you can't argue with. It's a good return for a first season, but then it goes back to what I was saying earlier about the chances. You go back to the game at Ross County. We're playing garbage, but we're 1-0 up, and then the ball drops to him 6 yards out. He should be burying it, putting the game 2-0 to us, and it's more than likely past Ross County at that point, and that's 3 points on the board. We played crap, but we've got 3 points on the board, and that's the thing with Cyril Dessers. People can go on about how many goals he's scored, and don't get me wrong, he's done fantastic. But you look back at the chances he's missed, it could have turned 1 point into 3 or 0 points into 1. Do you know what I mean? And that's what we need from our strikers. We need them to be a lot more clinical. But on that, he has took a lot of weight on his shoulders. We need the midfield and the wingers to be contributing more as well in terms of goals. After Sima, I think the next top goal, I think Sima got 16. Obviously, he was out for a while with injuries, pretty much the whole of the second half of the season. But I think after that, it's like Campbell, who might have 6 or 7 goals. And from someone who's sort of playing that number 10 role, attacking midfield, is that really good enough? My thoughts are no. And then you go back further, Lundstrom hasn't scored a league goal all season. He's in negative league goals this season, Lundstrom, But we need more from the midfield. We need more from the midfield contributing, and we need more from our wingers. So, as I say, it's nice to see McCausland sort of getting a couple of goals the last couple of games and putting his stamp on things, and hopefully coming into a little bit of form just before the cup finals.
I definitely, with the comment in for Aldo, he's saying the striking department next season should be Shankland, Danilo and Dessers, because he's saying that if Dessers can get 22 goals for third choice, he'd take it. I would take that too, but I think Dessers has only got 22 goals because he's played so many games, because he's had to, because there's not been anybody else. What's your thoughts on that for a striking department? For me, it's probably with the outlay we've paid. I mean, I think it's best part of 10 million between Danilo and Dessers in it.
I think it was around about 6 million for Danilo, and to be fair, I like the look of him when he was playing. But then again, unfortunately, he gets his face smashed in after 7-8 games, comes back and then rips his knee to pieces. So it's just unfortunate for the guy. But I think Shankland is just. I personally think it's a no-brainer. And he's a guy. I go back to what I said earlier. He's a guy who knows the league. He's shown he can score goals in this league, and he scores all different types of goals. He scores from outside the box, left foot, right foot, header. He's what I say. He reminds me of Chris Boyd, not in the same style, but he's someone who scores goals in this league and does it on a regular basis. And he scores those goals that turns 1 point into 3. And for me, I don't think we need to look abroad. We don't need to look to some exotic named, Portuguese player or whoever. So it was a guy just down the road, and he would, as far as I'm aware, he'd walk over hot coals to come and play for us. So I just think it's a no-brainer. It really is. He's a proven striker in that league, and that's what we need. We can't be taking chances on experiments, or hopefully someone will adapt. He'll come in and know what's what from day one. So yeah, I hope the coaching, the scouting staff and the management and that are on that one.
Aye, definitely. I really hope so as well, because he's got 31 goals in all competitions this season. Dessers is on 22. Dessers plays in a better team. don't want to turn this into a Dessers bashing, but I think it was a story of two strikers on Saturday. Like 100%. You seen Shankland kind of dropping off, and he looked as if he was playing number 10 in the first half. He was springing passes everywhere. I just think he's like you say, Tomo. He's a no-brainer to come in. Scotland international as well. He was Todd doing that number 9 shot for Scotland. What I also like about him is getting back to the leadership thing. We're talking about signing Paddy McNair. We've not really got any real leaders up front. At the top end of the pitch, they all play central midfield, centre defence, right back, and goalkeeping. You've heard come on say that Dessers is one of the nicest guys he's ever came across, probably too nice at times. Countless times I've seen Hearts this season, I've seen Shankland just demanding more off the wingers, wanting a better supply, dropping deep to get a ball, telling everybody where they should be. That's kind of what we need. Maybe it's not necessarily what some of Rangers fans want, but I think that's what we need up front in terms of filling that void. You need demands coming for every department, don't you?
Yeah, I mean, like I say, I've seen a few Hearts games this season, and what I like about Shankland, he hasn't got the greatest of pace, but what I like about him is his movement across the front line, his ability to come off, take the ball in, link up the play, hold the ball up, and Dessers just doesn't do that. But despite the size of him, he gets knocked around far too easily and gets the ball taken off him too easily. And like you say, he's a really nice guy and what have you. And I don't want my centre forward to be nice and, smiling at centre backs when he's missed a chance or whatever. I want him to be in there and, taking the hits, putting the hits in and letting people know, I'm getting the ball here. And, if Shankland's name was, Franzini Shanklindo or something, I'm sure a lot of fans would be, yeah, let's sign him up. But I think because he's sort of Scottish, plays in the Scottish League, he might be a little bit unfashionable. But as I say, I just think it's a no-brainer. Someone that knows the league, knows what Rangers are about, and I'd be saying get him in. I do think if we were to sign him, seen a comment, reckon Hearts would probably look 2 or 3 million. I think we probably would have to offload one of Danilo or Dessers, but
Aye.
I don't think we could have all 3 of them on the roster. But yeah, I think he'd be a good signing.
I think if you're, there was rumours in transfer window in January on the last day that there was an Italian team sniffing about Dessers. I think there would be interest there, but all eyes would come on. I've got a question for William asking if I watched the last Hearts v Celtic game. That was the same Dessers who had the same game as Lawrence did against them, who would have been hounded out the door. But see, to be honest, but William, Lawrence Shankland scored 2 or 3 against Celtic this season. Dessers has scored 1. Dessers has missed big chances at times. Everybody's going to have a bad game, I think and that you can accept for strikers, because do they have off days and do they need to contribute in different ways? But it's purely just the goal scoring record. They scored against every team in the top flight now. And that's pretty much good enough for me. I think he scored for Hearts in the qualifiers against Rosenborg as well. So I don't think the guy can do any more to get his move if this is what he's wanting to do. So, and they'll Doug come in. I would be happy to bring Tony Cholak back as well, just for if with Tony goals, I wouldn't even be wanting Shankland because we've got a goal scorer. You just want somebody that you know is going to come in and score goals, don't you, Tom?
That's it. We need someone who's going to come in and score goals regularly. That's it. And every player has bad games. No player is ever going to have a perfect games throughout a whole season. I would say he's done everything he can, Shankland, these last couple of seasons, and I think, and I just said about Dessers, he's goal scoring wise, assist wise, he's had a decent enough season. So I think there will be teams that'll be sniffing around him. So it'll be interesting to see what happens over the summer.
Aye, definitely. Hugo Bell's come in with a question to asking if we think that Championship clubs will be interested in Tom Lawrence and Kieran Dowell. Tom Lawrence is on his last year coming into it now. Tom, the manager Huss says that Rangers will not be in that situation again. Do you potentially think that I've heard that Derby County could be sniffing about because they've been promoted to Championship again? Do you think that's a deal that could maybe get done? Or do you think it's worth keeping Lawrence?
Yeah, I think that could well be worth a deal being done. I say I've got no issues with Lawrence. I just don't think he's got the engine or the legs anymore in terms of being able to play that position and play a fast game, getting the ball, moving it forward quickly. If he's got time and space and what have you, and he's a really good player. I just don't think he's got that burst to get away from people. So I don't think he'd be one who's being kept if he's in his last year of his contract. And if we can get anything for him, then I think we should be looking at that. And same with Dowell. He comes with a good pedigree, but again, just injured too much, and we need players who are going to be contributing, not who's going to be stuck on the sidelines and in the medical room.
I'd agree with you. You can see Kieran Dowell's a football player, like very good left foot, and he can open up a defence with one of his passes. He's Ross is asking, how do we create a new solid nucleus with so many departures? Ross, I personally think it's by you need to bring in some experience. You need a good spiny team to come in and be able to. It depends where the vacancies come up. I mean, if you get rid of Goldson or Suter, there's a big one to begin with. You need somebody that's going to come in and settle into our position and influence the backline, because without Goldson, you've not got an organiser in there. I think you clearly see that the last two matches with Leon King and Ben Davies at the back. Ben Davies doesn't look as if he's done much to talk Leon King through a match. God knows what will happen with Tav. Lundstrom looks as if he's away. So you need to bring in experience to go with your kind of your project players, I would say. I'm trying to see if there's anything else just now. Aye, Tom, also there's been reports about the head of youth development. He used to work for the Right to Dream Academy in Northland, I think they are. That's the team we bought Diamonde for. It's also the academy that Diamonde come through. He's been linked with Eb Jacobs' job at the end of the season. Do you think that's a good route to potentially go down for the youth department, or do you maybe think that we should be looking at somebody more closer to home like Kevin Thompson, somebody who runs his own youth academy, somebody Scottish that can? What kind of route do you think we should be going down?
I think you need to be looking for the best person for the job. Doesn't matter whether they're Scottish or from another country. As I say, we've probably got the best facilities in Scotland when it comes to training and the youth side of stuff, but we're not seeing the returns on the pitch. So if we can get someone who's going to elevate that, I think we need to get into some sort of pattern where they're regularly playing games, and like the B team, but all the way through the club, the youth teams have done all right the last couple of seasons. It just seems to be the sticking block when they get up to the sort of the B team and then getting into the first team. It's I don't know what the answer is, whether it's we do just need to take a chance on people and see whether they sink or swim. But it'll be interesting. It definitely will be interesting. We just need to we need to get it right, because that needs to be the way forward for us. We need to be bringing through our youth players and either playing them and then selling them on for a profit. And that needs to be our model.
Aye, definitely. I think it's it's a case of, I think this is like the 5th time I've said this week, Tomo, but it's a drill I'm going to keep buying. See when you're 3-0 up at Hamey, Ross County, Livingston, St Johnstone, bring your young boys on and give them some minutes. Let them come on and make an impression when you know that game's wrapped up. I know we've not been in that position too many times this season, but it's the only way to develop the players is to give them minutes. You know what I mean? And if the game's wrapped up and won, then like Leon King, bring him on next to Connor Goldson. Let Goldson, one thing Goldson can do is he's an average defender with good leadership skills. You know what I mean? So let him come on and teach King a position if that's going to be his position. That's just a bit of a rubbish example, but do you think that's potentially the way we need to get these young boys some minutes?
Yeah, I mean, it can't hurt them. I mean, I've mentioned it before. It sort of baffled me a little bit that away in Benfica, we're bringing on Cole McKinnon for the last sort of 10 minutes to see out what is a very big, important game. But he's pretty much not been seen in the team prior to that or up till the weekend there since. So it's just sort of mind-boggling that willing to throw someone on in that magnitude of a game, but we're not willing to throw them on against, like, say, the likes of your Livingstons, Ross Counties, and see how they do. But that's the best way to get 1 minute. You know what the likes of Barisic, Lundstrom, etc. are going to give you. So what's the point in giving them minutes when there's people that need to be developed sitting on the bench?
Aye, definitely, mate. Definitely. So we'll quickly go on to this cup final at the weekend. How are you feeling about it, Tom?
At this moment in time, not too confident. It's just basically based on the evidence of this season when we've played against Celtic. We've pretty much, I think, near enough every game has had the same pattern to it. They come out, score a couple of goals early, we get one back, then we huff and puff. Obviously, other than the 3-3 game, but even that, they're 2-0 up. Then we get a last minute goal to salvage a draw. But I just think unless something changes in the way we play or our personnel, I can see it just being the same again. They'll, pick us off round the midfield, shoot at will, and then probably Kyogo will score a tap-in that could probably have been stopped somewhere along the line. And as I say, I don't want to sound pessimistic. It's just based on the evidence of this season when we played them. They've not really had to work too hard to beat us this season. I think that's the most disappointing thing, is that we're just giving them goals. They don't have to work hard for it. So hopefully on Saturday there is a change, but that remains to be seen, doesn't it?
Aye, definitely. I think for me, a midfield needs to be Ryan Jack, Mohamed Diamondi, and Dujon Sterling. The only reason I say that is because I know it's not going to happen. I know it's not going to happen. So before I get lynched in the comments, I'm just playing devil's advocate here. You need Ryan Jack's control in the middle of the park. You need Sterling's energy, and you need Diamondi's attacking threat. We've tried different combinations. None of it seems to be working. Ryan Jack's back. He's been back in the bench. He's been getting minutes for, I think, it's a B team. Would you be happy if you seen that lineup on Saturday, Tomo?
Yeah, most definitely. I've said it so many times. We need legs in there. We need legs in that midfield because they just play it round us. Campbell or Lawrence will be pretty much a man down because we don't get into these games. They don't influence them. So I think we do need to just go with a solid midfield three and make it hard for them. I know there'll be people who are listening and probably be in the comments and go, we shouldn't be scared of them. We should be attacking them and taking the game to them. And to a point, I agree with that. But we've got to remember, they're a better side than us. So we need to limit their opportunities, and then we need to take our opportunities when they come. So for me, we need to just be, first and foremost, we need to just be solid. We need to be solid and make them work for everything, and then take it from there. But the only thing with Ryan Jack is how long he's been out for. I've said it a number of times. A fit Ryan Jack is straight in that team and makes us a better team. But it's just what sort of Ryan Jack we've got coming back and what he can contribute.
I know. I need to agree with that, mate. Curry's come in again with a really good point, and he said that Jack can't play when he's fit, but he would go with Raskin, Diamonde and Sterling. I would probably agree with that one too. Can he bring Lundstrom back in and play the same three in the middle of the park that's let him down time after time after time? I think he needs to go flat in the midfield and put some proper grafters in there that's going to win tackles, because that's what's solely been missing. Tomo, is there anything you want to bring up before we wrap up?
No, just as I say, it's we've got a cup final to look forward to. So by the time it comes on Saturday, I'll be positive that we're going to win 3 or 4-0, and everything will all be good. But yeah, no. Well, as always, thank you for the people that are watching and subscribing, and you're getting involved in the comments. The season's nearly over, but we've got a lot of good content coming up over the summer as well to keep you entertained until the new season comes in. But no, as always, Scotty, a pleasure, and thank you for having me.
No problem, mate. Thank you for tuning in, everybody. I will schedule the Paddy McNair pod for tomorrow night at 8 o'clock. Thank you for tuning in. Please hit the like, subscribe button, and always remember, every night is Rangers Journal night. Cheers.